Hey guys, welcome to the second day of absolute value. So we're gonna get into some more equation-y type of problems here. Just again, a quick reminder: absolute value is just talking about the distance from zero, and absolute value is shown by the two straight lines that kind of look like they might be some kind of parenthesis, but they're different from parenthesis, right? It's basically just saying whatever inside those absolute values, whatever is inside that, the absolute value of whatever's inside that is equal to this number here, right? And that number is the distance from zero of whatever is inside there. Okay. So just a quick step-by-step process here for solving absolute value equations. The first thing you want to do is get this absolute value all by itself. So what I mean by that is I don't want if I have like a 5 plus outside the parenthesis, I need to get rid of that first. I need to just have the two straight lines and everything inside there all by itself. Nothing outside of it. Okay? Then, once you've done that, you're going to split it into two different equations. One equal to a positive and negative possibility, with the exception being that if it is equal to zero, there's only the one possibility, right? And then at that point, you just solve each individual equation. So remember, guys, if the absolute value is equal to a positive number, there's two solutions. That's why you need to split it, because there's two different equations, basically. If the absolute value is equal to zero, then it's just a one solution problem, and you don't need to split it. You just need to solve whatever's inside there equal to zero. Okay, and then if it's equal to a negative number, that's after you've gotten the absolute value all by itself and it's equal to a negative number, then it would just be a no solution and you don't have to solve any equations. Okay, so let's go through and see if we can go through some examples here. So let's say I have absolute value of 7n equals 0. So this is equal to 0, which means there's only going to be one possible solution. So that means that 7n has to equal 0 because it has to be just, the one solution. So 7n equals 0, you divide by 7, right? And n would just be 0. That would be your one solution. Double check that. 0 times 7 is 0. 0 is 0 spots away from 0. So yeah, that's correct. Okay, let's look at another one. So looking at this one, we have negative 5 plus x inside the absolute value equals 1. So get the absolute value all by itself. Is there anything outside this absolute value here on this side of the equation? Nope, everything's inside. So we're good. Next step is to split it into two equations. One equals to a positive possibility, one equals to the negative possibility. So negative 5 plus x has an absolute value of 1. There are two numbers that have an absolute value of 1, right? Positive 1 and negative 1. So that means negative 5 plus x could equal 1, or negative 5 plus x could equal negative 1. And I know my 5s look like s's, but it's fine. Then to solve, you just have to add the 5 to each side, right? Add 5 since it's negative. And x could either equal 6 or x could equal 4. Two different answers, right? That's why you have to split it. Biggest mistake I see a lot of students make on this unit is they like to just solve the original one and then just say x equals 6, x equals negative 6. No, that's wrong. You do get two different answers, so you need to be splitting the equation once you have it all by itself. Okay, there are situations where you will get the same answer of positive negative, but that is not always the case, so you need to split it every time. All right, let's look at the next one. So this one, I have absolute value of m minus 9 equals 0. So first things first, I need to get the absolute value all by itself. So here's the absolute value. It only has the m inside of it. This negative 9 is not inside the absolute value, right? So before I can split, I have to move this 9 to the other side. So add the 9 to each side, gives me the absolute value of m is equal to 9. Now, it's equal to a positive number, this is where I can split it. And this is just a very simple basic one, right? M could either be 9 or M could be -9, as both of those have an absolute value of 9. And that would be your answer on that one. Okay, let's look at our next one. So this one, I have 2 absolute value of p minus 4 equals 24. All right, so this is where I see another common mistake here on this unit, is students get confused what this 2 is doing with the absolute value. Again, we can kind of think of absolute values as parentheses with one big major exception. You cannot distribute into an absolute value. Okay, it is not something you can move things into. So if I have a number in front of that absolute value, it's still technically multiplying like we've seen before. But to get rid of it, instead of distributing, I have to divide. So I have to divide each side by 2, right? That cancels out the 2 here, and you're left with the absolute value of p minus 4 is equal to 12. Now is the absolute value all by itself? Yeah, there's nothing on that side, so this is where I split it into 2 equations. P minus 4 could equal positive 12, or p minus 4 could equal negative 12. And then to solve for p, I just have to add the 4 to each side. And I'm going to get p is equal to 16, or p is equal to -8. And that would be your 2 possible answers. Okay, not too tough, right? Same kind of idea here, right? I have absolute value of v plus 3 all over 4 equals 1. So a lot of students get confused because they think that 4 is part of it, but if that 4 had been part of it, these absolute value lines would have extended down with the 4. So you have to get rid of this 4 before you can split it. So to get rid of the 4, it is technically dividing, so you have to multiply the opposite operation, right? And that gives you the absolute value of v plus 3 is equal to 4. Now it is equal to a positive number. So this is where we split it into 2 possible equations. V plus 3 could equal 4, or v plus 3 could equal -4. And then you just minus the 3. And v is going to equal either 1, or v is going to equal -7. And those are your 2 possible answers. Okay, again, get the absolute value all by itself. Split into 2 equations. This is the one that caused the most issues for you guys on this unit this year. You guys always wanted to skip that step because it was so much work to spend like the extra couple seconds to write the equation again. But if you did that, I guarantee you would have gotten a lot more right. It helps you be a lot more accurate instead of trying to keep it all in your head. Okay? So make sure you're splitting it, and then solving it, you just follow the same equation rules that we did with the equation units. So if you have any questions, let us know. We are here to help, and I'll see you out there.